Okay. Does anybody need more time to work on these, or do you, should I just go to the answers?
Okay, I think we can like continue.
Okay. So, number 23 is A, 24 is C, 25 is D, 26 is C, 27 is C, and 28 is C. So, if you're struggling with any of these, you can study Unit 4 for number 23 and 27, Unit 2 for 24, 26, and 28, and then Unit 1 for number 25. So if we go through each of these, so 23 says community psychologists intervene at the primary level when they A, design prevention programs for potential problems before the problems actually occur. 24 is on individual intelligence tests such as the Stanford Binet and Wechsler scales, an IQ of 100 indicates that a test taker scored at the average level for test takers of the same age. And this is because just know this as a fact is that for like average IQ is 100 points. So 25, which of the following is least likely to affect the immune system's ability to ward off illness? And the answer is being around someone who has a serious case of the flu. So this is obviously because it's a very serious case, but also if you are in close proximity with someone who is ill, then your immune system will also be more in danger. The rationale underlying the use of projective personality tests such as the Rorschach test and the thematic apperception test is that they can reveal the subject's personalities by eliciting response to vague, ambiguous stimuli. So if you remember, the Rorschach tests are just like ink blots that they ask the person who's taking the test to like kind of say what they're seeing in the ink blots. And then the thematic apperception test is the one where they show you kind of like a story. They show you pictures of like something happening, and then you kind of make up a story about what you think is happening to the people in the picture. Okay. Then the tendency to develop a positive attitude towards a product that has been advertised repeatedly in the media is referred to as C, the mere exposure effect. So kind of uh, another quick tip, like in general, is that a lot of the terms that are in AP psychology are kind of self-explanatory. And so like if you kind of just like look at what it's saying in the question, like chances are that there's a word among the answers that like kind of reflects what it's saying there. So for example, like advertise repeatedly, like you kind of see it repeatedly, so that you're exposed to it a lot, mere exposure effect. So kind of things like that, like little word associations are really easy to answer questions that you might not even know the answer to. And so the number 28, as you watch a friend walk away from you, your retinal image of your friend gets smaller. Despite this, you do not perceive him to be shrinking. This is an example of size constancy. And so this is another example of also the thing I was saying about the words, because obviously like size constancy means that the size is constant, and because of this, it's like, oh, you don't perceive him to be shrinking. Okay, here are the next set of questions. This meeting will end at 6 p.m. But like I said, I have a lot more questions after this. So the extra questions that I have that we do not cover during this meeting, I will be sending out with the meeting recording on our Instagram. So somebody asked for some vocabulary review resources. Um, so when I did it, I kind of just did my own. But if you want some vocabulary review, I know Note has its own like kind of AI generated stuff. So it's not really great, but it does work to a certain extent. Um, there's a lot of resources online and also like Stephanie sent a study guide that you can use as well to study. I'm not sure if it's very vocabulary oriented, but honestly kind of everything in AP Psych is vocabulary oriented, so yeah, that would be very helpful. Okay, so hopefully you guys are done. Um, let's go through the answers for these ones. So the answers are 29 is A, 30 is E, 31 is E, 32 is A, 33 is C, and then 34 is D. So if you struggled with any of these, you would study Unit 1 for 29 and 33, Unit 5 for 30, and then Unit 3 for 31, 32, and 34. Okay, so going through all of these, 29 says, which of the following is the correct sequence of the neural chain of events set in motion by an environmental stimulus? So the great thing is that obviously the receptors would be first because um, you're receiving the stimulus from the environment as opposed to anything else. And then that goes to the afferent neurons. Um, So I believe an easy way to remember the difference between afferent and efferent is the is you can use this thing called same, where S is the sensory receptors, therefore they go to the afferent neurons, which is stands for A, and then yeah, yeah. So that's a way to remember it. And then obviously the inner neurons go before the in between the efferent neurons and the effectors. Okay. So an advantage of group therapy over individual therapy is that group therapy, enables clients to realize that their problems are not unique. 31, a study can be regarded as scientific only if its conclusions can be verified or refuted by subsequent studies. And 32, when a newborn infant is touched on the cheek, the infant will turn its head towards the source of the stimulus. And this is the rooting reflex. Neurotransmitters are typically stored in which of the following parts of the neuron? They are stored in the terminal buttons. 34, in order to yield information that is generalizable to the population from which it was drawn, a sample must be representative of the population. Okay, so here are the last couple questions that we will go through today, and then the rest of the questions that I have will be posted on our Instagram. Okay, let's go through these questions. 35 is B, 36 is A, 37 is B, 38 is E, 39 is C, 40 is B, 41 is D, and 42 is B. So if you got these questions wrong, you would study Unit 5 for 35 and 38, Unit 4 for 36 and 39, Unit 2 for 37, and Unit 3 for 40, 41, and 42. So individuals exhibiting a hostile type A personality pattern are at an increased risk for cardiovascular disease. So I'm not sure if you guys were told this, but this was actually completely disproven many years later. So this is kind of false. It's like 99% chance that it's not going to be on the AP exam. 36, the factors chiefly responsible for interpersonal attraction include proximity and similarity. So yeah, those are the main factors for attraction. In a memory study, this experimenter reads the same list of words to two groups. She asks Group A to count the letters in each word, and she asks Group B to focus on the meaning of each word for a later memory quiz. During a recall test, participants in Group B recall significantly more words than participants in Group A. Memory researchers attribute this effect to differences in levels of processing. Rational emotive behavior therapy assumes that abnormal functioning results from which of the following? And the answer is unreasonable beliefs or assumptions. According to Freudian theory, the component of the personality that is blind, impulsive, and irrational is the id. Yeah, so sorry. So basically, if you remember, the three sort of parts of the Freudian theory for personality is the id, superego, and ego. And so the superego is kind of like the angel, and the id is kind of like the devil on your shoulder, and the ego is kind of like the mediator between both of the angel and the devil. And so 40 is in a research study, informed consent is the concern of ethics. 41, the correlation between two measures obtained on a group of individuals is graphically represented as a scatter plot. And the last question, the concept of habituation is best exemplified by which of the following situations? It's a college student is no longer kept awake by her roommate's late night typing. And that's because the college student gets very used to the late night typing, and so it becomes a habit essentially, and that's why it's habituation. Okay, so that is all we have time for now. Um, if you guys have any more questions, then feel free to send them into chat. But if not, then you guys are free to go.
Yes, and we will be emailing you guys the slideshow with all the other questions if there's more. And we'll also be sending you the recording. So yeah, keep an eye out for your email. Okay, bye guys. Grace, do you have the slideshow?
I sent it on the chat.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.